What is up, Cradix? In this video, we'll be talking about this week's Triple Money Event Week, as well as the property and vehicle discounts, and the 7 new survival maps that were released today, July 8th. So, this event week is for July 8th through July 19th, 2021. And now that the last remaining mini update is officially out, that means this DLC is coming out very soon. And sure enough, as I was typing this, TezFunds2 on Twitter stated that this event week will last until the 19th instead of the 14th it was supposed to end on. So that means that there's an extremely high chance that a new DLC will most likely release on July 20th. So mark your calendars. It's a very exciting time for sure. This DLC will most likely come out on the 20th. But anyways, the current casino podium vehicle is the Retinue Mark II. Now the overall design of this car is primarily based on the Ford Escort Mark II. This car is in the Sports Classics class and is one of the top vehicles in that class in terms of track performance. The Retinue is just a beast around the corners with good acceleration and top speed on top of that. The Turismo Classic and the Cheetah Classic, as we know, are at the top of the class in terms of lap time. But depending on the track, the Mark II is quicker than those two, so you kind of need to own all three. Now the Retinue Mark II has a normal price of about 1.6 million and a trade price of about 1.2 million, which is definitely way too much money for a car like this, even if it's one of the best performers in the class. But anyways, for those of you who originally paid full price for the Mark II and are not happy about it being on the podium, you can still take the one you originally purchased and sell it for about 1.1 million, depending on your upgrades and how much you paid for it originally, which is definitely a good chunk of money back. So is the Retinue Mark II worth attempting to win by spinning the lucky wheel over and over this week? I'm going to say 100% yes. Whether you already own it or not, it's definitely worth getting off the wheel this week. So starting off with the property discounts, we have 40% off all garages on the Dynasty 8 website. So for those of you looking to expand your vehicle storage, this is by far the cheapest and best time to do so. Moving on to vehicle discounts, we have 30% off the Revolter. So this car is by far the most consistent car in the entire sports class. If you're doing some of those types of troll races or long races around the map with contact on, this is definitely one of the cars you want to pick. It has insane pushing power similar to a truck, and so nobody can really spin you out, and you can move vehicles out of your way very easily, and it has amazing acceleration as well. Now, it's not the fastest one in the class by any means. It's around 20th for lap time around most tracks, so definitely not that fast, but it's something cool to have for certain racing situations, but overall it's not really needed entirely. Moving on to the San Andreas website, we have 40% off the Slam Truck. So this thing is in the utilities class. It can actually be used in races for that class, surprisingly. Now the ramp at the back of this thing cannot actually tow cars because they just slide off. There's really no way to lock a car back there in place, unfortunately. So it definitely makes this thing a questionable decision as to whether or not you should buy it. Now, it is considered a normal personal vehicle, and it does have decent customization as well, so I still think it's something nice to own for photo shoots and stuff like that, but whether or not it's worth buying is completely up to you. Moving on to the Warstock website, we have 30% off the Vatier. So this thing is considered a Pegasus vehicle, and it has no customization whatsoever, so I honestly see no reason in buying this unless you want it for roleplay or something like that. Next up, we have 30% off the Nakota. So this plane is customizable and is a ton of fun to fly, but honestly it's a bit overpriced for what it is. Moving along, we have 30% off the Bambushka. Now this thing is a lot of fun because you can open the hatch at the back and put your car or your friend's cars back there to do stunts and stuff like that. Now for those of you who are going to mention the invisible wall Rockstar put back there in the hatch in one of the updates, there is actually a way around that. So you pretty much just have to leave the majority of the plane stock, except for the armor, engine upgrade, and I believe the handling upgrade. You can pretty much only have internal modifications, and that invisible wall won't be there anymore. So that's how you fix that, and it makes the plane a lot more fun again. But again, use your discretion in buying this. It's not a cheap plane by any means. Next up, we have 30% off the Molotok. So this is an awesome jet that's a ton of fun to fly. But honestly, I personally prefer the Hydra or the Laser a little more because of the explosive cannons, which this one does not offer, unfortunately. Moving along, we have 40% off the cargo bob. So for those of you who don't own a cargo bob, I highly suggest buying one, as it's very useful for many different situations, and at this price, this is a pretty good deal. Moving on to the Dock Tees website, we have 40% off the Toro, a pretty nice boat, but I honestly see no reason in buying it, especially since it comes with the purchase of the more expensive yachts. So for those of you who already own one of those yachts, you probably recognize this boat, so again, I don't really see a reason in buying another. And lastly, we have 40% off the Kraken. Now ignore my free price here, that was for returning players from old gen. The actual discounted price is $795,000, but honestly I think we can all agree this thing is pretty useless now, as with most submarines in game, because the Toreador exists. And that's it for vehicle discounts. A decent variety this week, but I wish we would have gotten some performance vehicles on sale as well this week, but overall it's not too bad. In terms of triple money, we have triple money NRP on free mode events, which is quite random, but I guess something is something, and for those of you who truly enjoy these free mode events, you can earn some better money this week. In terms of double money, we have double money NRP on survival modes, including the addition of these 7 brand new maps, which are Glass Heroes, Quartz, Meibatsu Motors, Quarry, Scrapyard, Underpass, and Vespucci Canals. Moving on to the Prime Gaming discounts for Prime Gaming members only. I will leave instructions in the pinned comment on how to become a Prime Gaming member if you aren't one already. So we have the same ones as last week, which is 80% off the Segoy. So this car is in the sports car class, and due to its front wheel drive configuration and its poor traction, this thing drives like an absolute mess if I'm being honest, but the only reason I have mine is because of its style. Either way, it's in a sports class, so you're not really going to be winning any races with it anyways. It's something nice to have for its design. Moving along, we have 70% off the Valkyrie. This helicopter released with the original heist update back in 2015, and honestly is not that great of a helicopter. Also, don't forget guys, you're just vlogging this week as a Prime Gaming member, you'll get a free $100,000, which is pretty cool. Again guys, if you don't see a discount on the vehicles I mentioned, it's because you don't have your Prime Gaming account linked to your social club. Again, all the information on how to do that is down below in the pinned comment. And lastly, of course, the RC Bandito time trial Vespucci Beach. This week's normal time trial is up Chiliad. I highly recommend either the Hakachu Drag, Shotaro, or a Batty 801 for that time trial. And this week's premium race is the supercar race Senora Freeway. I highly recommend either the Devest 8, Emerus, or a Krieger for this race. Every Friday I post a guide on how to easily beat the time trials and premium race, so stay tuned for that if you're new. Anyways guys, hope this was helpful. Overall, this event week is decent and honestly a lot better than I thought it would be leading up to a DLC release. But in terms of double money, it was pretty poor, not really much except for survival and free mode events, which isn't really too great. But again, usually when we're getting close to a DLC a few weeks before, the event week is pretty bad because obviously Rockstar doesn't want people making too much money. But anyway, start saving as much money as you can guys for that DLC if you haven't already, as I predict it will be a very expensive DLC due to those Gallo Perico payouts, which are a lot compared to the past money making methods. I think this will increase the overall inflation of all the items in the next DLC. But I guess we'll see. I suspect Mr. Rubio is going to have lots of visitors in the coming weeks. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one.